Alright, Section 7, Boilers. No boilers for the connection with the locomotive other than those propelled with the steam power. Safe working pressure. Rule number 156. Safe working pressure. Each boiler will be fixed with the Chief Transportation Zone interior of the Railway Grand Division Headquarters Theater operation or by component mechanical engineer under the supervision. After full consideration has been given the general design workmanship age for the condition of the boiler, minimum factor safety will be 4. 116. Stress the stay bolts and braces. Rule number 157. The maximum allowable stress per square inch on a net cross-sectional area will be 7,500 pounds for stay bolts, 99,000 pounds for round rectangular gasket braces. 117. Strength of the materials. Rule number 158. When tensile strength of the steel of the raw iron is not known, will be taken at 50,000 pounds for steel and 45,000 pounds for raw iron. The maximum strength of the rivets per square inch for the cross area section will be taken as follows. Rivet single shear 38,000, double shear 76, steel rivet single shear 44, double shear 88. When the strength of the material is determined by the test of duly authenticated shown over the specification, alternate report such value with the calculating the safe working pressure. Maximum allowable working pressure on cast iron boilers will not exceed 15 pounds per square inch. 118. Boiler number on a badge plate. Rule number 159. Body builder's name with the number of the known will at least stamped on the boiler will be shown as the specification cover the builder's name with the number of the not known that cannot be obtained. The initial of the government USA and a sign with the numbers will be U. The name of the number once given the specification code will be changed thereafter. A metal badge plate showing with the name of the boiler with the number of the safe working pressure which is attached to each of the boiler badge plate with each of the same boiler provided with a line indicating lower permissible water level will be attached to the boiler adjacent to the water gap of the badge plate with each of the hot water boiler will be attached to the boiler adjacent to firing opening of the boiler's lag jacket that will cut away with the plate hadn't seen. 119. Interior inspection. Rule number 160. Whenever the sufficient number of tubes are cut, the interior boiler will be inspected throughout with the construction of the permit. 120. Removal of tubes. Rule number 161. All fire tube of the boiler surface will remove at least once every 4 years after the tubes have been taken out. Inside of the boiler will be cleaned and inspected thoroughly with the construction will permit. Boiler will be examined for cracks and pitting, grooving, and indication of overheating with the damage wherever the mud of the collector with a heavy scale formed. It will be ascertained with the braces straight over the top with the pins with the securely properly with the place that each of the conditions support with the proper proportion of the load. 121. Cracks. Rule 162. Any boiler developed in crack and shell sheath will be removed with the surface until the proper repairs are made with the report of WDAGO Form 55-227. C. Chapter 12. The showing of the defect with the repair maids will be forwarded to zone transfer off the station. Attention zone master mechanic zone interior of the railway grand division headquarters theater for the operation 30 days after the completion of the repair. Fusible plugs. 122. Rule number 163. Boiler equipped with a fusible plug will be filled with a tin with not less than 99% of the air with a container with no more than 1/10 or 1% of the lead no more than 1/10 of the 1% zinc. Fusible plugs will be removed and refilled at least once every year with such actions will be shown and report with the inspection AGO Form 227. If the boiler is equipped with a low water alarm using fusible metal which comes in contact with the water steam product with the combustion, fusible plug will be removed and cleaned at least once every 3 months. Removal is shown with a report with the inspection AGO Form 55-227 and another type of low water alarm used will be inspected with a test at least once every 3 months with the condition shown with a report with the inspection with the AGO Form 55-2227. 123. Exterior boiler inspection. Rule number 164. Exterior every boiler inspected thoroughly before put in the surface whenever the jacket lagging or casing are removed. The jacket lagging will be removed at least once every 5 years. The internally fired boilers from pressure plates of the boilers thoroughly inspection made with the exterior of the boiler under the hydrostatic pressure. The jacket with the lagging will be removed whenever the component offers and considered desirable and necessary. 124. Hydrostatic test. Rule number 165. Every boiler before putting in the surface at least once every 12 months thereafter will be subject to the hydrostatic pressure. 25% of the above working pressure before hydrostatic is applied. The safety valve with the water relief valve will be removed. The hose capped and plugged mean with the provided holding valve closed without compressing the spring. After the hydrostatic test is made with a hand hole plate with a wash plug will be removed and through the interior examination made with the construction will permit. Water tube boiler with examined with a special care with the blistered tube with the tubes out with the proper line with the leak of the corrosion theoretic affiliated Flange joint steel pipe with blown out lines will be examined carefully with the corrosion wasting water away. When all necessary repairs are completed with the boiler will be fired up at the same pressure rate with not less than the allowable the working pressure of the boiler, and improvement these will examine carefully with all cocks, valves, seam studs, bolt with the rivets must be tight under this pressure. 125. Test of the rigid hollow stay bolt rule number 166. All rigid stay bolts with the hammer tested at least once every 6 months. Whenever the hydrostatic test is applied, with the except for the stay bolts will have the telltale hole 3/16 of an inch in diameter extending their entire length, not to be hammer tested. Inspectors will be tapped each bolt to determine the broken bolt with the sound vibration over the sheet. The stay bolt tests are made with when the boiler is filled with water. There will be not less than 50 pounds of pressure on the boiler. 126. Stay bolts with the caps rule number 167. Except the provided elsewhere with the stay bolts have the caps over the outer end of the will have the caps removed at least once every 2 years with the bolts with the sleeve examined and breakage. Certain type of the flexible stay bolts which any boiler could provide with a telltale hole not less than 3/16 of an inch nor more than 7/32 of an inch for the diameter of the hole extended the entire length over the bolt with an inch of the head, not less than 1/3 of the diameter of the protected copper plating from becoming with the closed corrosion, opened with the test of the mean with the proof with electrical other instrument with it each time the hydrostatic test is applied. It will not be necessary to remove the caps with the test for the position positively indicate with the telltale holes are open their entire length when the test is complete with the hydrostatic test will be applied and all stay bolts will show the leakage through the telltale hole will be removed. The removal of the flexible stay bolt caps of the test will be reported. Report inspection WD AGO Form 55 227 Chapter 12. Proper record with the cap of the inspection of the test. D. Firebox sheath not covered by brickwork will be examined carefully at least once each month for mud burn, bulging, indication broken stay bolts. Stay bolts can be removed at any of the above the testing whenever the chief of the transportation zone of the interior railway Grand Division headquarters theater operation considered desirable to determine the condition. Stay bolts and stay bolt sleeves. 127. Flexible stay bolts with a cap. Rule number 168. Flexible stay bolts will not have caps will be tested the same as the rigid bolts. Each time the hydrostatic is supposed to apply with each such stay bolt test will be made with the boiler under hydrostatic pressure not less than the allowed working pressure. Proper notation such tests will be made with a report with the inspection WD AGO Form 55 227. 128. Broken stay bolts rule number 169. No boiler allowed with the remaining strip through. There are 2 adjacent stay bolts broken and telltale holes plugged when there are 3 or more broken plugged in the entire boiler. 129. Telltale holes rule number 170. All stay bolts shorter than 8 inches except the flexible bolts with the telltale holes with 3/16 of an inch of the diameter not less than 1 1/4 inch deep in the outer end. These holes will be kept open at all times. 130. Pressure gauge rule number 161. Each boiler will have the gauge which will indicate the correctly working pressure of the pressure gauge for the graduated not less than 1.5 times the allowed working pressure for the boiler. Gauges will be located as to that they will be kept reasonably cool and can be read conveniently. Pressure gauge will be tested for the time of the quarterly boiler inspection whichever the irregularity pressure reported. Pressure gauge will be compared with the accurate dead weight with the test for the test gauge constructed for the purpose of the testing gauge. Other than that, with the term and applicate for the hydrostatic pressure, the gauge for the U of the hot water boilers may be tested in conjunction with the test water relief valve by the comparison of the under air pressure for the accurate test for the gauge found inaccurate will be corrected before being put to U of each pressure gauge of the steam boiler for the type of the ample capacity to prevent steam from entering the gauge. Pipe connection will be into the boiler direct for the maintaining the steam of the wind between the boiler and the gauge. Each time the gauge is tested and siphon pipe with the remove of the pipe with the connection examined to see that they are open. Pressure gauges are used for the hot water boiler for the main mounted with the expansion tank provided no valve with the interpose between the expansion tank of the boiler. 131. Safety valve rule number 172. Every steam boiler will equip with at least 2 safety valves. Every hot water boiler will be equipped with at least one water relief valve with a capacity which is sufficient to prevent any of the conditions of the accumulation pressure of the more than 5 pounds above the allowed working pressure. Safety valve to the tank with the boiler independently any other connection located closely with the boiler as may be consistent without discharge inside. Water relief valves may be mounted in the expansion tank of the hot boilers provided no valves for the interpose between the expansion tank of the boilers. Sufficient assurance of the private damage will be provided through where safety relief valve with the connection path through the cab structure. Safety valve within steam boilers will be set in the test room of the team at the time of the quarterly boiler inspection. Also, when the regular report safety valves are being set, and the water in the boiler will not be above the highest gauge cock. When the safety valve and water relief valves are to be set and tested, the 2 gauge will be used, one which will be located so that it will be full view of the person setting on such valve at the other time, and the application for the hydrostatic water relief valves on the hot water boilers will be tested with the air pressure at times of the hydrostatic test will be tested The hydrostatic pressure gauges will be tested and occupied immediately before safety valve or water relief valves are set with a test and change made with the setting. Ship these gauges, hot water boilers may be tested with the air pressure simultaneously test with the relief valve at all the times other than the hydrostatic test is made. If indicated pressure gauge of the gauge of the boiler vary more than 3 pounds, they will be removed the boiled and tested corrected before safety valves and water relief valves are set. Alright, 132, water glass and gauge cock rule number 173. Every steam boiler will be equipped with at least one water glass with 3 gauge cocks, which can be opened and closed easily by hand. Lowest gauge cock with the lowest reading of the water glass line with the badge plate will correspond not less than 2 inches above the danger line, with the danger line which for the no danger for the overheating with any part of the boiler, with the danger of the line vertical fire tube with the will not less than 1/2 the length of the tube above the lower tube sheet with the vertical submerged with the tube boilers will be the upper strip of the top sheet. Top tube sheet, all water glass supplied with a 2 valve with a 1 upper and 1 lower connection with the boiler. The drain valve constructed located with the valves can be opened and closed easily by hand. Spindles of all the gauge of the cock's water glasses valve to remove the cock with the valves cleaned thoroughly with each time the boiler is washed out. Water gauges will be blown out with the gauge cock tested at each trip. Tubular water glass with indicators will provide with a safe and suitable shield that will permit the glasses to be easily seen and prevent the glass from flying in the case of the breakage. Water glass and pressure gauge will be illuminated sufficiently to ensure accurate readings of readings to be made. 133, feed water application rule number 174. Feed water application for the connections will be in good condition, free with a leak for the accumulation of the scale of the other form matter will be tested before each trip. Water tube, rule 175. Ends of water tubes extended through the tube sheet with the head of the properly flared. The head with the flared will extend through the sheet with the head with a not less than 1/4 inch, no more than 1/2 inch, with the will be flared angle with a not less than 30 degrees. Beaded and beaded will extend over the sheet with not less than 1/8 of inch entire circumference for the tube. The water tube is employed properly applied with a bulge and blister of the leaking crack. The tube is sufficient scale if the cause overheating will not be continued in service. 135, boiler washing rule number 176. Boilers will be washed with water with the condition of the required steam boilers. Surfaces will be washed not less than frequency once each month at a time. Quarterly inspection. Hot water boilers surfaces washed for not less than frequently once a year. The wind boilers are washed. The hand-hold plates, washout plugs will be removed. If the boilers are washed out without removing the hand-hold plates for the washout plugs, such plates and plugs will be removed immediately after the boiler is washed. And as though the interior inspection of the condition will permit, the sediment with the scale will be removed with the water tube with the washout period. Accurate record of all the boiler washout will be kept by the officer in charge of the copy of the last kept the name of the boiler compartment. The following information will give the time of the day of the boiler was washed, the number of the boiler, number of the locomotive unit, which is mounted, the time of the day of the washout, the signature of the boiler washer or inspector who know that the boiler was washed, statement indicating spindles of the gauge cock with water glasses, valves, the boilers removed and cocks. Valves clean, signature inspector personnel remove the spindle cleaning of the cock valves. 136, leak rules. Rule number 177. All valve joints, stud with the seams will be kept reasonable, free of the leaks. B, if the leak develops under the lagging examination, proper repairs will be made. When washout plugs in the boiler studs develop leakage of the pressure will remove the thread examined and proper repairs made. 137, the feed water tanks strain with the rule number 178. Feed water tanks maintained free with the accumulation of the scale of the other form matter and suitable screen with the will provide with the feed pipes. 138, fuel tanks and piping. Rule number 179, fuel tanks related with the pipe can maintain with the free with the leak. If the fuel was fed from the tank with a gravity pressure with a safety cutout valve will provide with the fuel line adjacent to the supply tank with a safety valve will be on the type which cover the automatically with trip, which can be operated by hand inside of the outside of the cab fuel reservoir with the range so that it can be filled with vented out on the outside of the cab. Other compartments vent with cab pipes will be not discharged of the roof nor on between the rails. 139, feed water, fuel, oil, reservoir training, testing, rule 1 and number 180, feed water and fuel, oil, reservoirs, carrying pressure will be inspected, tested in accordance with rule number 103. Boiler, the reservoir fastening, rule number 181, all boilers, reservoirs will securely fasten in place. Steam headers, rule number 182, when two boilers are connected with the steam header will each will with a suitable valve between the boiler and the header. 142, oil burning firebox, rule number 183. Means will provide with expelling accumulated gas in firebox oil burning boilers before the fire is lit. Section 8, reports.